It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. Let's create. We are going to be working on a new fun fold card design this evening, and it's one I haven't shown you before. It's always exciting to learn a new card style, isn't it? And I'm just bringing up my video on the side, and we'll see if we're rocking and rolling. And if you're popping on to watch, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. It's always a good evening and we can get together and create. There we go. I see the video. Ta-da! Okay, so if you're there, say hello, because I probably won't have seen your comment because the video just came up. And if you're watching later on replay, just say replay, and then I'll know who came along and watched later. So tonight, fan fold card. Not only are we going to be using a fan fold card, we're going to be using some new paper from the new core catalog, which just dropped on the 1st of August. Now, our previous core catalog is still available until the end of August, and the prices are what is in the old catalog for anything that's in both catalogs until the end of August. So if there's anything that you're interested in that you have been waiting to get from the core catalog, you might want to do that before those prices go up at the end of August. So just keep that in mind. Hey, Carol, nice to see you're watching. Hello, Karen. Lovely to see you guys on here. So we are going to be looking at the paper pack from here that is called 4 Seasons. And we looked at this one the other day when we were doing some scrapbooking. So we're going back to that summer part of the 4 Seasons. And we're going to be looking at the paper and the corresponding cardstock. We're not using any of the stickers today, but we are going to be using the Operation Smile stamp set, that brand new stamp set that I'm loving. It's called Change the World, and I've used it a few times already. I think this is one that we're going to be going back to over and over again all year long. And the awesome thing about this is because it's our year-long Operation Smile promotion stamp, $7 of your purchase price, American, US dollars, goes to Operation Smile when you purchase this stamp set. And that is fabulous because that is a wonderful organization that provides life-changing surgeries for children born with cleft palate and cleft lip. And so that is a fabulous organization. So we're going to start today with a different kind of card base. We're going for this bright candy apple red. And this has been cut to 8.5 by 8.5. The card we're making tonight is called a fan fold card. So we'll see whether it's a card that you have made before or not as you watch it develop. If you think you have made one, just pop it in the comments. Just say, yep, made that before. So what we're going to do is we're going to line it up on the Versamat here, and I'm coming up a little bit from the bottom. I'm lining it up at the 1-inch mark just because it makes it easier for you to see on the screen. And I'm going to do some scoring. So I'm going to score it right in half. So again, I said this was 8.5 inches, so we're going to score it at 4 1/4. So if you have a scoreboard, you can absolutely do it that way. I do it old school with the ruler. So there's our 4 1/4 scored. Then we're going to turn it 90 degrees and line it up again nice and straight on the Versamat. And we're going to score it again at 4 1/4. So we're going right into quarters here. So 4 equal quadrants on our 8.5 by 8.5, scoring it at 4 1/4 both directions. So we have made a plus sign with our score lines. Now we're going to turn it 45 degrees, and we're going to do some scoring from corner to corner. And so you probably can't quite see the corners here. Maybe if I'll do it this way. I'll just turn it corner to corner with my ruler. So I'm going to go from this corner to the opposite corner. So I'm going to line up my ruler all the way across. If you're using your scoreboard, sometimes the diagonals are a little bit tricky, but I'm sure you can figure that out. So we're going to score from corner to corner. And then we're going to turn our ruler the other way. Actually, I'm going to end up turning my paper. So bear with me. I'm turning my paper because I can't do the scoring the opposite way. My arms don't bend the right way to do that. And we're going to line it up from corner to corner. And score it right down there. Okay? So now we have done 4 score lines. We have scored it straight across at 4 1/4. We have scored it horizontally at 4 1/4. And then we have done both diagonals from corner to corner. So now we have 8 sections on our paper. So I don't know if you can see that score line in the light or not, but that's what we've done. Now I want to do a little bit of trimming. And this is kind of similar to when we were making the double pocket card. You know, we did some scoring and then we cut a little slit. And so that's what we're doing again today. Hey, Deborah, nice to see you join in. And Robin's here too, lovely. So we're going to go then on one of our straight lines from one of the edges right to the center, but we don't want to go past that center intersection. So we're just going to go on one of the straight ones, not a diagonal. And we're going to go all the way to that center point, nice and straight. If you have a paper trimmer that would allow you to do this nice and straight, then obviously that would be a great choice. But mine doesn't. So just right to the center, and then do not pass that intersection in the middle. Okay, now we're going to put it down. Let me see. We're going to put it down so that we've got our slit at the bottom. Okay, and that will just help us figure out what direction we're going. So this is going to be the base of our card. So let me just grab a gel pen here so I can write on here. This is the base of our card, and this is pointing up, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to start with this bottom right quadrant. Hey, Levine, nice to see you're watching. And so the first score line we're going to come to after we have our split is this diagonal one. And this one we're going to make a mountain fold. So what we're going to do is we're going to push up on the score line and push down on the other side. And that creates a mountain fold. Okay. Now because I'm not using a scoreboard, I like to make sure, so I'm going to flip it over, rock your world here. I'm going to flip it over and make sure that my edges line up so that I know that my score line was nice and straight and where exactly I wanted it. Okay, so back to where we started. There's our base piece, and here we have created our mountain fold. So you see how that fold goes up like a mountain. Okay, now we're going to do some accordion folding. So if we've created a mountain fold here, then this next one, this horizontal score line, is going to become a valley fold. And for a valley fold, you push down on the score line and push up on the paper beside. Okay, so those ones go up and the score line goes down, and make sure everything lines up nice and straight. And then we can give it a nice crease with the bone folder. Okay. So now we have a mountain fold and a valley fold. So this one comes down into a valley. Okay. Now we've done mountain, valley. Now we're going back to mountain. So this diagonal one, we're going to push up on the score line from behind and push back the sides and give it a light crease. Gather up all of our pieces and we're going to fold it like so. And then this next one is going to become a valley, so we're going to push down on that one and fold it over. And now we can kind of check and make sure everything's still nice and square and true, and give it a good push down. Okay, so we've worked our way around. See how far we've gotten? So we did a mountain fold, a valley fold, a mountain fold, a valley fold. And you can really see it as you go because these ones are going to stand straight up in the air. Those are mountain folds. Okay, so now our last one was a valley. So this diagonal here is going to be a mountain fold. So we're going to push up from the bottom, create that mountain. Okay, let's gather all these up together. Create the mountain, and then this last one will be a valley. So we'll push the score line to the back and fold that up like that. Make sure everything is nice and straight. Lots of pushing with this with our bone folder. And there we go. Okay, so that we have created our fan, our accordion fan fold. So now if I open it up, you're going to see that it pivots all the way around and comes back around like this. Okay, so let's fold it back up, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, and fold it down. And because we know that this is our base and this is our up direction with our little arrow, we're going to come to the top here and we're going to put an up arrow right there on that top triangle so that we know this is our up direction. And then if we lift this first mountain folded piece out of the way, this next triangle underneath, we're going to mark this with an up arrow too. Everything's got to be facing up. And then we're going to open up that one. And this triangle that's sitting here, we're going to mark it with an up arrow. Okay? And that's kind of important because when we fold it all out like this, it's kind of hard to pay attention to which direction everything needs to be facing. Okay? So it's nice to have those arrows marked. And also that marks which side of the triangle we're going to attach additional pieces of paper to. Okay? So let us start with the top. So let's scrunch it all back up together, all accordion folded. And we know that this direction is up. Let's set this aside for a moment. Of course, it's going to sproing everywhere. Let's grab our stamp block, put it in its place. Okay, so let's bring in some more papers. We have here a piece of the gorgeous coordinating cardstock Honey Butter, and I have used the stitched fancy brackets to cut this out, and I used the smaller of the two and cut this out, and I think it's really lovely because it has this nice stitched edge as well as the shape. And I thought that the stitching would go good with this piece of zip strip that I have cut here. So this is one of the zip strips from the collection, and it's got sort of a stitched diamond effect happening there. So I thought the stitching on both of those would go nice together. And this has been cut to, I believe, a 4-inch length. So a 4-inch zip strip. So it's a 1/2 inch wide, because that's what the zip strips are, and 4 inches long. And then I have a piece of the beautiful floral pattern paper from this collection. Isn't that stunning? It's so beautiful. And this has been cut to 4 inches square. So 4 inches by 4 inches. And then I also have a piece of just white daisy cardstock, and this has been cut to 4 1/8 by 4 1/8. And that's what we're going to start with as our base. And what I want to do is to add this onto my card. And if you take a look here, you will see that there is just a tiny little 1/8 of an inch bit of red that will be showing all the way around. But we're not going to be attaching this side of the triangle because we're only attaching it to here. So we don't want to add our adhesive onto our white daisy. We want to attach our adhesive onto here. Because we know that we have an 1/8 of an inch around the edge, we're not going to put our adhesive right to the edge. And we're just going to add this on here like this. You could use liquid glue if you want, but I'm impatient, and so I'm using this. And we'll just remove the backing off of that, like so. And I have no idea if you're commenting right now. My computer seems to have frozen, just like it always does. Hooray! So there we go. I love this candy apple red. It's a happy color, right? It's just so lovely. And let me just check on things here. There we go. Pop it open. There we go. Okay, it's back in business. So we're going to center this. And we want to remember that we have that little 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And just line it up on our cardstock like that. And now you can see that it is not attached to the base. It's only attached to that top triangle. Okay, then we have our beautiful floral paper. And I want to give it a little bit more of an edge. Oops, that one is not cut to the right size. Look at that. Let me give it a little trim down. This one has been cut a little. Actually, I think what the problem is I probably cut the white a little bit too big, but that's okay. We'll just give it a little trim with our nice little photo trimmer. It works so well and so handy. There we go. And then we can flip this over and add some adhesive. And now we don't have to worry about where the adhesive is going because we've got that white piece of cardstock to work with. So just add our adhesive. The back side of the floral is the beautiful polka dot that we used on our layout on Sunday night. If you were watching that. If you haven't watched it, you can go on the YouTubes and take a look at that, or just scroll back through here. And now this paper is actually really good because it really makes no difference which direction you put it. What does make a difference is to make sure that you're still facing upward with your card when you're doing your decorating. So you might have to go back in and check. But there was one other step that I wanted to do, and I think I've been affected by my daughter coming and playing in the craft room. I'm going to do some inking around the edges with candy apple, but I'm going to do just really subtle inking, and I'm just going to drag it through the ink pad, just like this. So it's just got the tiniest little bit of red around the edge, and that just makes it stand out from the background just a little bit more. And we'll center it on there. Hopefully centering it. There we go. Like so. Now we've got our nice little zip strip here that we cut to 4 inches. And now, so of course, that's a little bit off because we had to trim our paper. So we'll pretend it was 4 inches, but really it's a little bit less. There we go. You always have to do little modifications sometimes, right? And let's add some adhesive on here. I love how this fan card just wants to bounce open. It's nice and springy. It's like a launch pad in gymnastics. You ever do that where you run and you jump on the launch pad and go over the vault horse or what? I don't know. It's been a long time since I did gymnastics. You can tell. All right. So just going to line this up here. And what I want to do is let me kind of envision here. I want to have my my sentiment on here, and I want it a little bit down, but I want this kind of in the center. So I'm going to put it at about 2 5/8 from the bottom. Sorry, 1 5/8. I have my card lifted up from the bottom. So I'm an inch off. There we go. And then let's go ahead and do some stamping on here. So we have that lovely stamp set, the Operation Smile stamp set. And I'm going to start with this one. Let your smile change the world, but don't let the world change your smile. I think that's such a really nice sentiment to have on a card. And I've got my second Versamat here flipped over to the back side so I can use it as a really nice stamping surface. Let me just grab. I've got stamps all over the place today. Grab my stamp block and pick that up. And I'm going to use the Intense Black ink for this. And just load up my stamp with some ink. And I'm going to move it closer to myself so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to stamp it in the center there. Give it a nice press. And allow the ink to transfer. There we go. Lovely. So this is fun. Like, we've already done the base of our card. Now it's just the decorating. And so because this is the front of the card, I'm actually going to use a little bit of foam tape. And I'm actually using the foam out of the inside of my shaker foam, because we have all these lovely little extra squares of foam in here, and so why not use it? I actually find that it's easier to use the foam ovals and circles and shapes after you've removed all the excess foam from the center, so you might as well use it up. And then you can make a shaker card later, or put a shaker element on your layout, or put a shaker element in your mini album. So fun. There we go. Okay, so let's attach this. We'll kind of put it a little off center, a little down near the bottom, with the points of this nice design kind of centered on that stitched diamond. That's so pretty, and because the floral is lovely by itself, we don't need to do much else. So now we're going to turn this, and you're going to see how it all comes out like that, and we're going to start working on our next page. So let's now turn it so that our arrow is facing up, so we know where we're working. And for this next one, I'm going to bring in a piece of the honey butter, and this is again 4 1/8 inch square. I'm going to add my adhesive to this triangle where we have our arrow, because we know that's where we're attaching this base piece. I'm avoiding the edges because there's a little bit of the red that's going to show. All the way around like that. Peel off my backing. And you can really decorate this any way you want. The only caution I will say is that you don't necessarily want to add bulk, right? This is going to be a bulky card already because there's going to be like 8 layers of cardstock plus any extra layers of cardstock you put in. So if you're sending it in the mail, it will probably take a little extra postage. So you don't want to add foam dots and bulky embellishments on the inside because it has to collapse down. It's okay to do it on the front though, right? So there we have it. We're making sure that this is our right way up. And then I've got another piece of the lovely floral, and we're going to go ahead with the candy apple and do the inking around the edge. Does anybody else do inking around the edge like this? Where you just kind of rub it on the ink pad? I like to do it when I just want a smidge, just a definition of edge on a pattern paper or something, just so you know it's there. It's so tiny, but it's enough to be effective, right? Robin says, it happens. Yep. Sometimes you just cut them the wrong way. And then we're just going to center this. Now this piece was cut a little bit smaller. It was cut at 3 5/8, just so we get a nice border of that honey butter, that lovely new color this year, nice yellow. And let's add another sentiment from our stamp set. So I have a piece that's 2 1/8 by 1 1/4. And let me see, which sentiment did I want to do on here? I think this one. Your smile makes life more beautiful. And I'm going to bring in my black ink again and load that up on there. Your smile. So, you know, who wouldn't want to get a sentiment like that, right? Your smile makes life more beautiful. Awesome. And let's do some edging with the candy apple. I'm moving my Versamats all around the world today. There we go. Got some candy apple. Let's put some adhesive on here so we can stick it down. Oh, it was nice today that we had some sunshine. My son went for a hike today at the conservation area, and he took an umbrella just in case, but it was beautiful the whole time he was there. So there we go. Your smile makes life more beautiful. Now you could add a lot more embellishment to this, but I'm going to leave it simple. And I'm going to turn again, make sure our arrow is pointing up. And for this next one, I'm going to use a piece of white daisy first. So let me just go ahead, and again, we're going to just put adhesive on this triangle that has the arrow. Staying away from those very edgy bits, hopefully. The edgy bits. That sounds like a, you know, revolutionary or something. It's edgy. The edgy bits. Those are always the tasty bits when you're doing barbecue and stuff, for the edges, right? All right. Now we're going to center that on there, leaving just that little tiny 1/16 of an inch all the way around, making sure we didn't adhere the bottom part of the triangle. And now for this one, let's bring in, introduce another of the pattern papers. And it's this gorgeous Bluebird Buffalo Plaid. Isn't that really, really pretty? And I think it kind of pulls that nice blue from the zip strip and from the florals over into this opposite quadrant. And so let's just adhere this down. The back side is this gorgeous red check that just screams summer, doesn't it? Just makes you think of picnic tables and barbecues and hanging out with the friends and having fun in the summer. So let's go ahead and stick this down and add some blue. And I'm not going to ink the edges on this because it's a nice defined edge already because it's such a deep color, that nice bluebird. And then let's also bring in a sentiment. I've cut this little piece of white daisy to 2 inches by 1.5. And we are going to stamp the sentiment that says, "Thank you for being the reason I smile." I think that is beautiful. Let's get our ink out again. See if I can line it up without sticking my head too far into the camera. I always wonder whether you're getting a good shot of the back of my head when I do that. And I don't think we really need to ink the edge, but I might as well because we've been doing it all along. Keep it consistent. So grab that candy apple again and just go all the way around. Did I go all the way around? Yes, I did. For a moment there, I thought I missed a side, but I didn't. I'm good. I can count to 4. And we'll just add some adhesive. And you will notice that I'm keeping my sentiments as I'm going around sort of in the bottom right corner. There's no reason for that except for that's how I started. So I'm going to continue it just so there's consistency, right? That's the only reason. Just because that's how I start. What did they say? Start the way you mean to finish. So that's what we're doing. Now, for a little bit of decoration on this one, because it's kind of plain, I went ahead and fussy cut out some little florals from this pattern paper, because you know me, I love my fussy cutting, right? And so we're going to go ahead and adhere these down. Let me just get a little bit of an angle on where we're going with this. Maybe I should try and play with it first before I stick it down and decide how I want it. Maybe like that. It's nice when you got a little edge, you can kind of overlap things, right? And then there, and then maybe there. I don't know. Maybe I need to add more. Maybe. All right, let's go ahead with this. Sometimes when I play with fussy cut things, I get a little fussy. With it. Yeah, I think it's the leaf that's kind of throwing me off. That one little leaf. So you know what? I'm going to fussy cut a little more leaf. And when I stick these things down, I do not glue the whole thing. I just glue, parts of the stem or parts of the flower, and I leave a little bit of it kind of left to its own devices, so there's a little bit of lift and a little bit of dimension created that way without really having to do much else. And let's see, tuck that one kind of like that, and let's do some more fussy cutting, because I didn't do enough yet. You remember when I did that layout the other day, I said, ooh, we can use this extra piece of the triangle. We could do all sorts of things, but one of the things I said was we could totally do some fussy cutting. So let's grab another leafy bit. So I rough cut it, and now I like to fussy cut, leaving a halo of white or whatever the background is. And I like to keep my scissors stationary and just pivot my paper to go all the way around and just go in and out of the design. The nice thing about florals and leaves and stuff, you can kind of wiggle your way and it looks fine because they're kind of wiggly anyway. We were discussing the other night, last night during Stash Dash, that circles are the hardest thing to fussy cut because they're so precise, right? But if, trim it around a leaf, I mean, my goodness, you can make it sawtoothed or whatever you want because it's a leaf. So easy. Never be afraid to fussy cut. I mean, there's some people that totally hate fussy cutting because it's just tedious. But, it makes some pretty things. All right, almost there. Getting there. All right, where are we going to stick this one? Now that we've done it, where are we going to put it? Yep, I like it kind of draping over there like that. To add a little extra, so I'll add a little bit just along where the stem would be at the base of it, and tuck it under there. That's the other good thing about not gluing everything, is that you can tuck other things in, and then maybe one more flower, maybe just this little tiny pink flower here. Let's just grab that. Or maybe that blue. No, we'll go for the pink. So we'll just rough cut that out. Look at all my mess I'm making here now. You know it's crafting when you're making a mess. And then we'll just go around this one. And again, with a little flower, you just work your way in and around. I always like to use the base of my scissors near the join. I don't generally go to the tip when I'm fussy cutting, because I feel like I have more control of it down near the base. And there we go. And stick our little pink floral right there. Lovely. Okay, I gotta stop fussing with it. Let's move along. So now we're gonna spin around. We're gonna go to the base. Now, because this is our base, pardon me. Because this is our base, we can go ahead and stick it down over the whole thing, right? Because we're going to cover it all. So that's easy peasy. And I've gone ahead and used another piece of the floral for this one. We're just carrying that beautiful floral all the way throughout. But this time we're going to layer it up with a piece of the honey butter cardstock on top to give it a little bit extra. So in this quadrant we did honey butter, then the floral. So over here we're going to do the floral and then the honey butter, just to kind of make it a little bit matchy that way. Am I going to ink it? Yeah, maybe I'll ink it. No, I'm not. Because sometimes colors kind of mess around. Pardon me. Oh, goodness gracious. I have a tickle in my throat. Sometimes when you do like something like a red on a yellow, you end up with an orange, and that's not quite the effect that I'm going for. So I'm just going to go, oh, I should have given you the measurement. 3 5/8 square. Just layer that up there like this. And this is where we can write our message to the recipient, right? So we don't have to add a lot on there. But on the back of our card, let's flip the whole thing over. You will see that we have a score line here that's not used for anything. And so you can hide that with another piece of cardstock. So I have just a white one here that I have cut to the same 4 1/8. And as I thought, you know what, sometimes we need to write a longer message than what we have room for on that inside bit. Or maybe you just want to stamp a little sentiment there and then write your private message on the back, so it's not maybe on display for everybody to see. So we can add a nice little panel on the back that hides up that score line that we're not using, and that also provides an extra spot for writing. So now let's go ahead and we'll fold all the way around. There is our lovely fan fold card, all folded up. And then of course, when you get to unfold it and see all the beautifully decorated panels, just like that. Your smile makes life more beautiful. Thank you for being the reason I smile. And then your message there on the bottom. Isn't that a fun, kind of interesting way of making a card? And of course, you could use photos on this. This could be an interactive element in a scrapbook or a mini album, to have something and you could pull it out and have different photos on there. Wouldn't that be cool? So even though it's presented as a card, it can totally be used for elements on a page. I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make this fun fan fold card. And if you give it a try, I would love to see a photo of what you create. So take a picture of it and message it to me, and we'll get it posted on or just put it in the comments. All right. Have a wonderful evening. Toodaloo. Bye.